Hi everyone, I'm Ella Fernandez, the head of connections here at BTechly. I'm delighted to welcome you to the second session of our Microsoft 365 Community Conference webinar series with our sponsor, Landis Technologies. Today, they'll be sharing insights on assisted intelligence reinventing customer service. Before we dive in, here are a few quick things to keep in mind. To join the live Q&A, you'll need to register for the webinar. If you're watching this across our channels and haven't registered yet, please head to btechly.com, select today's webinar date, enter your business email address, and submit your registration. Or simply scan the QR code that you can see on your screen right now. Our team will process it and add you to the Q&A chat at the end of the session. Please note that the Q&A won't be live streamed. If you haven't secured your conference pass to the Microsoft 365 Community Conference, now is the perfect time. Simply scan the QR code on your screen or visit nextgen365events.com. Don't forget, attendees receive a special park pass perks for the Orlando event happening April 21st to the 23rd. Now, that being said, let's settle in and enjoy today's learning experience together.
Hello, everybody. My name is Preston Martin. I'm with Landis Technologies. And with me today is my colleague, Paul. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, everyone. Paul Martin. I work alongside of Preston, and excited to be with you here today.
So assisted intelligence is what we're going to be talking about today. And what we want to do is give you some guidelines on how it can be used, define what it is, guidelines on how it can be used, and kind of talk about the concept of this. So one of the things I'll start with is we all have experienced some AI in our lives. You remember a few years ago, ChatGPT came out and it was just this amazing thing. And we all went to it and we used it as a search tool or try to answer math questions or whatever your initial use case may be. Everybody has their own experience with it. But these tools have evolved very quickly and they continue to. And today we're looking at real world use cases for some of these tools. So with that, let's get started. I will say, if you're in the meeting, in the comments, you're welcome to drop questions. We'll try to keep an eye on them. We may answer them as we go. We certainly will answer them when we get to our Q&A. Let's start with a definition here. So what is assisted intelligence? So what we're referring to, and I don't know that assisted intelligence is a term that may be a term that we're using to describe to make up here, but it's human and AI collaboration. So it's together instead of being just AI interacting with your clients. So we're talking about business settings, and this allows your human agents to still continue to have that touch with your customers. And on that point, let me start there. Personally, if I'm calling my doctor, let's say an example of I'm calling my doctor, I am fine with an AI tool that handles scheduling. Tells me, hey, next Tuesday at 8 a.m. there's an appointment. Do you want to take that? Yes. Here's what you need to bring to that appointment. All of that kind of thing. Confirms my prescription is ready. Whatever these things may be, I'm very comfortable with that. But then when I'm getting medical advice or directives, I would still be very uncomfortable with it only being an AI tool. I'd love the doctor to be able to have some connection. So when I show up at the doctor appointment, I want to talk to the doctor. I don't want, a computer screen to pop up and say, my name's Jeeves and here's your problem and here's what you need to do, So that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about combining and empowering these agents using AI.
Just along those same lines, at the same time, though, with my experience with AI, I hope that my doctor is using it in some capacity, whether it's for documentation or problem solving. So a lot of us that use AI on a daily basis know the power of it. Like Preston mentioned, not entirely excited about that being the face that that we interface with on a day-to-day basis. But like you mentioned, certain things like scheduling, love it. Yep, makes it easy for me. And then having the doctor assisted with AI is really, that you still keeping that human connection, but having the power of AI behind him.
Yeah, you can, and as we're showing here on the screen, you can preserve that human empathy for the agent that's talking to this person and makes that conversation more comfortable. And you can improve the customer experience. We've all been in these menu options, and we're trying to get through to an agent, and we keep saying representative, or agent. Let me talk to an agent. And it misunderstands you, and a lot of those are a throwback to when they were not very good experiences, and a lot of those have gotten better over time. But the ability to get to a human when you need to talk to a human, and then have that human be assisted by those AI tools, that's what we're referring to here.
And I think the reason we kind of feel the need to pause on this subject a little bit here today is because it feels like a lot of the marketing and advertising that companies that you see out there around AI emphasizes the automation side of AI. And, in many ways, that's not the most exciting part of AI, especially for me as a consumer, as I am interfacing with different brands. I'm not necessarily excited about everything going to full automation. But this scenario where the people that I interact with are still there, I still have that human touch, but I can make sure, and we'll get into some of the use cases here, but I can make sure that things are well documented and they follow up the way they promised they would and all of that. That's the actual exciting part of AI. And that's what we kind of want to highlight with some use cases here today.
So let's talk a little bit about real world impact of the tools we're going to be talking about. So this is from a recent study, a McKinsey study. They found that first call resolution. So if you're a stakeholder or manager of a call center that's getting calls from your clients, if you can handle it in the first call, that's extremely valuable. And they're saying a 14% increase in first call handling when using these AI tools. Another really big gain is the new agent productivity. And I'll say, they're showing 34% jump in productivity. And that makes sense. If you have an AI tool that's helping a new agent that's not very efficient at their work yet, because they still have to really think hard about every step. What do I do now? Where do I find that resource? And these products can assist them. That's a huge gain. But it's also, we all have a Monday. We all have a bad day. We're preoccupied by something, or there's something going on, and we're need that tool to help us still to deliver those good customer outcomes, instead of just lowering our customer service when an agent isn't quite as up to speed. That customer service satisfaction score, a lot of organizations follow that and track that very closely. 27% is an incredible jump in customer satisfaction score, but that's what their study had found. All right, let's move on to talk a little bit about a strategy for integration of these products. Now, we're going to get to some demoing of the products and talk a little bit more about how it works. But here's a bit of a flow. There's a few areas, 4 areas that I have identified that are important in a process. So the first thing is identify inefficiencies, or I would say also repetitive tasks that agents are doing over and over again that you are predictable in what they need to do. And those are the spots where you can gain efficient assistance from using an AI tool. Also, then I have pilot and refine. This is not a tool that you implement and then say, okay, we have that done, that's great, and let it run. For a few reasons. Number one is these tools are getting better very quickly. And so you have, just like our first chat GPT search that we may have all done is very different than what we get now out of some of these tools. The same thing is happening to all of these assisting tools to assist your agents. And you don't want to not take advantage of what is now available. And also you want to get the live feedback of what's happening and then kind of iterate on that and maybe make this tool better. So if you have a pilot group that you can roll it out on, that's a great way to test it. And then you can roll it out to a larger group or make it better before you do that.
And to your point with refining, there may be some tools that are implemented or that you experiment with and are not blown away by the results, or not overly satisfied with the results that you see, to the point where maybe initially you don't put it into production. And like Preston mentioned, the tools and the quality of the tools are evolving on a monthly basis. And so, checking back in on the process and what you can change about the process a few months later, that might yield a totally different result. So just as you're looking to solve use cases, continually seeing how far the tech has come, what is possible, and testing those scenarios.
A few other key areas. The training is important, not only initially, but continuous training where you're giving your agents a little bit more. This can be a huge learning curve as far as switching from looking everything up manually to automatic lookup, or switching to what they're focusing on. And if you can boil it down and train in smaller sections where you take advantage of this part of the tool or take advantage of that part of the tool and continue to add value to that agent, you're going to get better buy-in if you continue to tool them up to the full process. Much like I'm not looking for full automation at my doctor's office, but I'm okay with some automation. The same way with your agents, they're going to be glad to see some assistance and continue to train and continue to then rely on the tools and find them very useful. Seamless data integration is a very important part of this. And this is where some of the power of these tools come, is where they're able to gather context from your other databases. We're not talking about creating new databases or creating new things that you need to maintain, but it's connecting to these existing databases. And they may be, in the case of a CRM, your agents are working in the CRM already, but this is automatically pulling that information for them and using that context to help give them context for the call. And then also updating that CRM. You can do some of that automation where it's putting AI summaries into your CRM after the call. Those types of things are available as well. Okay, should we jump over to demo the product here, Paul? Let's look at a few scenarios. So we're using Landis, and I should say, Landis has developed a suite of products that are Teams integrated. So they're built on Microsoft Teams. That's what we're using to power the demos we're going to show today. We have a full multi-channel contact center, and we have a tenant console that's used for operators or custom agent experiences. We have call recording. And we have AI being worked into a lot of these things. And to be clear, we can do the full automation in our products as well. But we really think that this is a better spot to begin with. So we're going to demo 3 different scenarios, 3 different agents that are, I don't like that we call everything agents, the AI and the human. We should come up with other names, but we're going to, we have agent assistant in 3 different ways here. And the reception or transfer assistant is going to be the first one. Now, think about this role. This is a user that is answering and transferring calls, a very busy, an operator that's taking a lot of calls. And let's see how an AI tool may assist them with their job. So just hold a second here. Hello, is David available today? I could also talk to Wendell if David's not available. All right. So what you had there, obviously, that was just the caller's side of the audio that you were hearing there. But what this tool is doing is in the background, it's saying, I heard the name David. Let's look up all the Davids in our organization. And then, hey, I heard the name Wendell. Let's look up Wendell as well. And then it displays both of them and puts them right in front of this agent, so they don't have to be searching it out every time.
And this is a good example, Preston, of sometimes when we talk about AI tools and implementing and tying in to data, it seems like, and sometimes is, a fairly significant project for an IT team or an organization to undertake. This is an example of AI that can help a human operator, give them more efficiency, make their job a little bit more pleasant. And this is literally a plugin. It's the click of a button to enable this feature in the product, and it's baked in. So we are starting to see more of these production ready tools baked right into user interfaces that don't require massive, we talked about tying in with data, depending on, and we'll get to some of those use cases where that will become more of a central part of it. But there are AI tools like this that you can just put right to work. Very little learning curve for end users, and they can just start realizing that benefit straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing you'll notice here is it's showing the presence right on that screen. So it popped up, if David Kurtz was the one they were looking for, he's showing green in Teams. Now, this is a Teams environment. David Georgia, if they were looking for him, he's away currently. Wendell's away, so you have that presence right there in front of them without having to figure out what their status is currently for taking a call. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So the next one I want to talk about is a support agent assistant. So this is a IT help desk or that type of thing. It could be internal or it could be external. And they're always needing to resolve, find the help or the documentation. So let me roll this and then we'll talk through it.
Hi, this is Preston Martin, and I am calling to check if I can get a trial started for the Landis Attendant Console.
All right, so a few things here, and you can tell that was over a PSTN cell phone connection. But a few things I want to point out. Number one, that call summary down at the bottom is on there, and it's live updating every time a new segment of the conversation, it adds to that summary. That's a nice thing for an agent to be able to glance at and tell what's going on. It's also nice if they're doing paperwork after the fact to be able to pull that information. You can see the click of a button there to copy it. Name of caller I have on that tool as well. It could be account number, it could be email address, whatever. But then you have this helpful documentation section. And this tool is designed to look at a certain set of documentation, look at the problem that was presented, and see if it has a relevant article, and then post the link to that information. So this is once again saving an agent from going and looking this up. An agent can look this stuff up. That's absolutely fine. But if they don't have to focus on that, if they can say, oh, sure, even if it's that they need to click on this to actually read through the steps, the process to do whatever it is they're looking to do, or if they forward this on to the person so that they can do it. However that's done, it just saves a lot of time to have them focus on how is this phone call flowing, instead of just wait a second, let me look that up, and continuing to stall while they are trying to multitask.
I'm still amazed. I mean, just very, very frequently when I interact with contact centers, when I'm on a voice call, just the amount of time that the agent on the other end spends just dead air, not talking, typing notes, looking information up, and they're doing their job. I mean, while I ask the question, I'm asking for information, and or they're going to find the protocols that they need to adhere to, and every situation is different. But the end result for me as a caller is a lot of dead air while they type their notes, look information up, and follow the process that they need to. The idea here is we can eliminate that by, it heard what they're asking for. Let's put the information on screen, or let's make sure that the notes are being collected so that the agent doesn't feel like they need to write down every little thing and document everything right there in the moment. They're going to have that automated at the end, and we'll get into some of that a little bit more. But yeah, the dead air and just the calls that last longer than they really need to, because agents are needing to do this while they're on the phone. And like we mentioned earlier, I forget what the stat was, 30-some% confidence for newer agents.
Yeah.
When an agent is learning the ropes and kind of learning the product or whatever it is that they're supporting, knowing that there are tools that are going to pop up on the screen and guide them on how to respond and what to ask for and the correct answers gives them the confidence to step out and start taking public facing phone calls a little bit sooner and just get up to speed, shorten that time in which it takes to bring an agent online and start being helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of continuing on, this is a demo now of a quality control assistant. And you're going to see a little bit longer. You're going to hear the back and forth because in this case, we're looking at how the agent is performing. And so we're looking at both sides of the conversation for this demo. So let me roll this and then we'll talk through it. Hello, thank you for calling Contoso Computer Repair. How can I help?
Yes, I cracked the screen on my laptop and I need to get that repaired.
Sure. Let's start with your name and email address.
My name is Shannon Martin, and the email you have it under should be shannon@gmail.com.
Great. Thank you for that. And what is the model number that you're looking for?
It is the E7506.
Perfect. So yeah, you know what? I see we have an upgraded warranty. It would add another year to your coverage. Is that something that you would like?
No, not for today. I just want to get the screen fixed.
All right. I cut that one off instead of finishing up the conversation just for sake of time. But what we are doing here is we have a custom checklist of items that the agent is supposed to accomplish on the call. Now, this is great for regulated industries where there's disclosures that need to be made or something along that line. It's also good, once again, for just good customer service, because this is looking at the transcript of that call. And it doesn't matter whether they say the words upgraded warranty. They can say, we have an extended service contract available, or they can, because it's AI, what it's looking at is the intent of the sentence, and it realizes that's an upgraded warranty offer. We can check that one off. And so it assures that the agent is doing the things that they're supposed to be doing on those calls. The other two things I'll highlight here is you saw it grab that email address. I'd mentioned that before, but there's a customer service call evaluation score. I have it called here. That is a list of items, custom list of here is how we want our employees to interact with our clients. So, show empathy for problems, not be rude or be kind, or however you want to score these things, your core principles for how you handle clients. And it is judging this conversation against that list. And so it's keeping it up to date on the screen as well. And so it can be a great measuring stick for these agents to be able to live in time get coaching on, hey, this call is not going quite like we would like to see it. And you could also add coaching there as well if you wanted additional information on the screen.
And this is all, this is done by a prompt. This tool is offered to the agent via a prompt. So again, when it comes to rolling this out, you can, just like you would enter in a prompt into any other LLM, you can instruct, let's take that score there, that coaching score. Like you mentioned, that could be a very detailed prompt that you type in. You can include your agent code of conduct, how you want the caller to be greeted, you know, rate them on how they manage the checklist and items that they got, whatever it is, you can just type it out. It doesn't need to be any fancy coding or anything. You can just type it out and have it deployed to the end user. So it is very, very feasible to put these real world tools right in front of them that they can start seeing the benefit from. Preston, were you going to get into the automation, the data push out of this product at all? I wanted to touch on that, but if you were going there next, I can.
No, let's deal with that now. I don't have a specific. Yeah.
Well, just to take this a step further, so we're looking at the agent facing side of this, and obviously these are tools to help agents as they're engaging with the caller, in this case. But there are lots of AI tools, or we can utilize these tools post call as well to actually do some tasks that the agent would need to do next. So with any call, let's say they gathered the information, they helped the caller, whatever the scenario is, and now the call is coming to a close, and typically they would have a checklist of wrap things that they need to do. They need to make sure it's documented in Salesforce. They need to make sure that someone is notified of this or a new ticket is open. All of that based on these AI prompts that are supporting the agent and the information that is collected during the conversation can automate that side of things. So we can save the agent time by saving the information directly to Salesforce right away. We can put in Salesforce the checklist and as an indicator that the agent did touch on all these items, as well as the AI summary of everything that they discussed. Sky's the limit, really, with these types of automation tools post call. I'm working with another client right now that they actually have it as part of the flow process that it automatically creates a new email in Outlook with a summary of what was discussed, thanking the caller for calling in, a summary of what the discussed, highlighting next steps, any information that was promised is included. And that's something that a couple years ago would have taken an agent 15 minutes to type up and make sure everything is right and ready and documented. And that is now just a matter of seconds while it, as it collects that information. And of course, there again, it's testing it out with your data and your environment, put it in front of the agent to get their approval before it sends the email or before it posts to Salesforce. Those are all common checks, but it goes a step deeper than just giving some on-screen assistance to the agent. That's key, but also helping save the agent some time by taking care of some of those next steps that they would need to do. And just in general, we see AI taking that next step in a lot of different tools. We're going to go one step beyond just research, one step beyond just giving you the answer to something. And now we're starting to see it get into the task completion side of things. And so that's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the power. And a lot of this power comes down to having a tool that has access to that conversation in live time. You think through the demos that we did here, or even the post call, then the quick action for sending an email or updating your CRM or Salesforce, HubSpot. It's the tools that get access to that conversation in live time, give you that live transcription going on, and then being able to take action on it with an AI tool. All right. Kind of a conclusion here as we're getting ready to wrap up. Empowering human agents is what we're seeing as a trend that is gaining momentum in the real business world, as opposed to just simply automation interacting with your clients. Having a pretty clear strategy on how you're going to implement it. This is probably not one of those scenarios where you allow each agent to define their own. You can. There's ways to roll it out individualized if you'd like to as well, but you can do a little bit more strategy on how to deploy it, and let your customers dictate it. So some of our clients are dealing with customers in 4 or 5 different generations. And there's a different level of comfort in different generations with dealing with AI tools versus dealing with humans and different preferences. And so know your customer, and ultimately they need to drive what they're comfortable with. And as you continue to use these tools, those things may change. And it may change pretty quickly as all of us have grown up now from the initial AI moment to using it in real life. There's going to be some change to your customers' expectations as well. And the other thing I'll say is track your metrics and know how it helped you. We have some clients that are putting the tool in place and saying, "Man, I think it's really doing well." Well, let's talk about that. How do you measure that? And then they say, "Well, it seems like our agents like it," or whatever. But measure those metrics. Figure out how it's affecting, so that you can tell if it's a tool that's worth continuing to develop, and if it's making a real world difference. The other thing I'll say is everybody is at a different spot in the organization for where they're at on the AI journey. You may be full human touch, no AI involved at all, or you may be in this AI assisted side where you're assisting, or you may be doing some full automation along with the AI assisted. And we at Landis here are here to support you in wherever you'd like to go with it. But we feel like the AI assisted side is a pretty readily available place to gain ground and to really get a foothold. I threw that quote by Jensen, NVIDIA CEO: "You won't lose your job to AI, but you'll lose your job to someone who uses AI." And that's really what we're talking about here, is that to empower your agents, take your standard agent and turn them into a super agent using AI, and not only keep your customer service at the level you expected, but you can actually gain that on that as well. All right. I think we're going to soon move over to the question and answer. I will throw it back to the moderators at this point here.
Thank you so much for that. That was an excellent and highly insightful session. Thank you to everyone joining us on the live stream. Just like what Preston mentioned, we'll be ending the stream shortly. So be sure to lock in your spot at the Microsoft 365 Community Conference happening April 21st to 23rd in Orlando. To rub elbow with Preston and Paul. You can actually register by scanning the QR code that you can see on your screen right now. Or you can go to nextgen365events.com and enjoy exclusive park pass perks available to conference attendees. If you'd like to participate in a Q&A live with Preston and Paul, be sure that you join us using the link provided in your calendar invite. Bye.
Thank you.